Hi everyone, my name is Tina Ducharme. Welcome to the Crossed Over Celebrity channel. On this channel, I take celebrities who have crossed over to the other side. I do a little channeling with their energy and bring forward their soul contract and show you how that played out for them in their lives. So how is everybody doing today? I hope this video is finding everybody well and happy. And not only do I channel the celebrity, but they also bring forward messages to the collective. So if you're drawn to this video, there is most likely a message in it for you. So what I do is I usually will walk you through their soul contract initially, talk to you about some of the experiences that they drew to themselves through how their soul contract was laid out. And then I'm going to with this particular celebrity, I have some creative writing I did and channeled some messages from that person. And I want to share those with you, along with, we're going to pull some oracle cards at the end of the reading to bring forth some additional messages. So with that being said, I'm eager to get started. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the soul contract of Wayne Dyer. Now, Wayne Dyer was a spiritual guru. He was a motivational. He was the father of spiritual motivation. Wrote many books. I have one here. This one was my favorite, called Manifest Your Destiny. And he also had a best-selling book called Your Erroneous Zones, which was also another excellent book for people, light workers, and people who are starting to get on the path. He has great advice and a lot of messages that he can get you on your way of living your life's purpose. So I really was excited to bring him forward. He has a great fatherly energy. He's very encouraging, very balanced in his expression. And we'll talk about that with the soul contract. I found him very calming. This is kind of the energy right now seems to be a little bit of a up and down, and people are going through another healing episode. I call them healing episodes where the frequencies are raising. So if you're feeling tired and you're feeling very out of sorts or discombobulated, the energy is having an effect on a lot of people as we're going through some healing and some upgrades and getting downloads. So he wants to bring forth messages of a lot of self-care, finding your spiritual practice, whether that's through meditation or maybe yoga or running out in nature. There's a lot of grounding things you can do to connect and kind of dispel a lot of negative energies you might be taking on. So he wanted to relay those messages for the viewers today. So let's get started. I'm going to share. Actually, before we get started, I always say I'm going to show you the soul contract, but I also always put in the description box, I have a short introductory video if you want to know more about the history of the soul contract, how the charts come together. I'm starting to focus these videos more on not going too deep into each number, but kind of showing you overall what the numbers mean and how it affected the person that I'm talking about. And then that way we can get to more of the messages that they want to share and to make sure that we're hitting on that for the viewer, what the viewer wants to see. And so please hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that we can get the messages out that they want to share with people. So they're very excited, always come in very excited about that. I never know. People can put in the comments if they want, if there's somebody that they're looking for messages from, but I just pretty much am taking people, the celebrities that come to me. This particular, a lot of the celebrities I don't know much about. This one I know because I read his books, I did know more about him. So that was kind of fun to do his soul contract. So let me share the screen here and we'll get to showing you his soul contract. So this is Mr. Dyer. Hi, Wayne. There he is. got very nice blue eyes, and obviously he has so much positive energy. I think you can get a sense for that coming off of him. And again, we have in all of our soul contracts, we have, again, we talk about this physical triangle, which is our physical energies that are expressed. And then we have this downward facing triangle, or sorry, the upward facing triangle is the spiritual energies that are expressed in the downward facing triangle as the physical side of the energies that we came here. And so the chart again is based on your birth name. So we've got the Wayne Walter Dyer. This is when he was born. So he has a Taurus energy, very proactive. Um, you know, again, he was very strong-willed, kind of that bull energy, very practical, grounded person. I think we can see that in him. Knowing, if not many of you know a lot about Wayne, he was a school counselor, and then he taught at a university initially before he started on his real spiritual journey. And but early in he was actually raised partly in an orphanage. His dad abandoned him and his two brothers at an early age, and his mother could not take care of them. And thus he had a lot of struggle, but he had this great radiant energy and a very positive way of looking at things, even from a young child. And he promoted that in a lot of his work. So again, he was a great motivator with people. And so let's talk about these fives in his karma. And so I always talk about the karmic piece. Everybody has a spiritual karma and the physical karma. All of the numbers have negative and positive sides to them. But generally in the karmic phase, we'll get a lot of that karma side hitting at us. There are opportunities for growth. I always refer to them as that, because they're meant for us to transmute the negative of those numbers into the positive side throughout our lives. And so those are great learning opportunities for us. And then we're given these talents, which are meant to help us overcome any karmic aspects and to help us achieve our goals. And so we have a physical goal and a spiritual goal. And then overall, the soul comes here, because Wayne Dyer is just one incarnation, one part of this soul that we have. We have many incarnations, and so the soul destiny is kind of the overall idea of what the soul came here to learn in this particular incarnation. So with the physical karma side, he has this little fetus here, which is all about learning the intangible concepts. So it's actually a very spiritual number. It's a light number to have in a karmic phase, because it's much easier to overcome fives. This is about truth, and this is about speaking your truth. So what happens to us initially as children when you have this number, because it's very impulsive and because it's all about truth, you'll end up speaking your truth, but then being persecuted or punished for it, because you may offend somebody, or you may tell people things that they don't want to hear. For me, my mom was alcoholic, and I didn't have any problem telling her that when I was a child, and I got into a lot of trouble doing that. So I understand. I bet that Wayne also had some issues where he was speaking his truth, but maybe got in trouble for that. So then we kind of shut down and we stand back, and we can have some assertiveness issues. People with fives need to come into their power. They need, especially in a karmic sense. So then, oh, hang on, I'm going to see if I can probably see my mouse a little better. And so with the fives here, they can be impulsive and speak the truth. And so then they kind of struggle, again, like I said, with that assertiveness. So we do recommend people, especially if they're children, taking something that would make them more assertive, whether it could be martial arts, or it can be a form of public speaking or doing some creative writing, but some way where they're expressing their truth, expressing themselves so that they learn how to do it in a positive way. And so and this energy is all about teaching as well. People who have this energy have this drive to become teachers. It's a pioneer energy. So as we could see with Wayne, he did pull some of the energy of this. He's got a 5 here in his soul destiny. So again, that was all about fives. It's really about can be great achievers and writers. So he obviously showed those aspects as well. But again, in the karmic phase, he may have struggled a little bit with his writing ability and being able to get that to flow properly. What he had going for him here is he has the most powerful energies in his talent. So this is nines. This is all about total connection to source. Their channels open up at a very young age. And he talks about that in the orphanage. People, when kids would come there, he thought it was a great place to be, by the way. He didn't see it as a negative. This was a great soul working from the depths of his soul to bring this great positivity to the world. And he started this as a young child because he had this little bit of lighter energy in his karma. And he has these great nines. It's all about this, like I said, it's a total connection to your higher self and to source. So you're bringing down a lot of this positive energy. It can be a little bit of disempowerment because every number will bring in a little bit of the negative, and it can be some resistance too. So you could have some resistance to change and to things going on. But again, this was a very positive energy. They can also push people's buttons because they're so powerful. People get very intimidated by them, and they can have a negative impact and try to disempower you. And so that I'm sure played out for him in his life. I did notice that there were a few people who challenged I called him plagiaristic in some of the work that he did. He didn't have a lot of that in his life, but it still is a little bit of people trying to disempower you, trying to also make sure that you're staying in your truth, and just kind of gives you that a little bit of that expression about truth. So the nines, though, are excellent talent. See, he at a deep subconscious level, he would always feel that he would be okay, and he would really trust in who he was and in the decisions he was making, even from a young age. People may not have agreed with what he was doing, but he would still do it anyways and not be persuaded by that because he had a deep sense that he would be okay no matter what he did. And so this definitely worked out for him with the sevens. It's all about healing the heart, uniting people together, like-minded people, catalyzing groups, facilitating groups. And you can see this. I mean, sevens are all about objectivity and their expression. They make great actors. He did do a little bit of acting because they're objective in their expression. You can't read them. They're not overly emotional. So they're a little harder to read. They can be very objective. So they can make great judges. He was a school counselor. They can make great counselors in facilitating groups. But again, this was all about this physical side. What was going on with him was preparing him because he's got some huge, and this being a little bit of a spiritual number, a lot of spiritual energies here playing out. He was meant to be this great spiritual teacher by his spiritual goals. So I'm not surprised that physically, we have this physical goal to work in our 3D environment, and a lot of it can be to set us up for this spiritual side that the soul is calling us to do, our spiritual purpose. And if you are struggling with your spiritual purpose or your goals or understanding what's going on in your life, sometimes having that soul contract reading can really make it clear, can really clear that up for you and help you. I put my website below, and I do offer some services that can help you in that area. And I like to help people also achieve their goals because I have the same spiritual talents, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So again, that sevens it makes a person very magnetic and draws people in. And once you start opening up your heart and connecting with people, it will draw more people in so that they can learn and grow from you and catalyze you and make you feel united in your expression. So again, this was all setting himself up for this great spiritual role that he was meant to play. And so the 18 and 9 in his karma, this would be some resistance to that, which is why, you start out in your physical and you want to stay in this physical world trying to manifest what we call the matrix, where you got to have this dream, you need a nicer house and a bigger car, and pretty soon you're just working for all of these material things, and life doesn't even have meaning anymore, and you don't even know what it's about, and you're not being fulfilled and you're not being happy. And so it's really because we came here, not just, manifesting can be a wonderful thing. Obviously, he has this Manifest Your Destiny book, but it's all about coming into the spiritual side and creating all of this other stuff. Well, the material things and stuff that will just come once you get into this positive role. Things attract, I believe in law of attraction, and so you can change the things that you are attracting to yourself. Now, you are limited by your contract and what's in the contract as to what type of positive energy you can, but you can manifest. And once you release a lot of these ideas that the society puts on you, he wants to say, remember, society kind of tells you who you're going to be, and teachers will tell you who you're supposed to be. And then we start to forget and it get weighted down by all of these negative things. And all of a sudden we're having all of these struggles that the ego is attached to suffering. And then we have all of these struggles and things. Oh, we just can't seem to get through life, and it weighs us down because we're really not truly living our purpose. Because we start living with your purpose, things become easier and they become lighter because you're fulfilling that heart's destiny. So he wants you to know that part of the writings that I did is you will be presented with challenges that are part of life and your growth. How you choose to meet those challenges determines where you are at in your consciousness journey. And so what he is saying by that is how you are reacting to the things that are happening around you. Are you staying in victimhood? Are you blaming others for the bad things that are happening in your life and not seeing your part in that play and that dynamic? And then once you start, we all have challenges. It doesn't matter who we are, but they become easier once we become aware of how to manage them. And that's being conscious, becoming more and more conscious of our behavior, and addressing that ego programming that takes a hold of us and kind of tries to control our mind and the things that we think about. So again, this 18-9 would, it would have given him to some resistance to, because this is about following the spiritual path. This is the little arrow getting you on your path. And this 9 can be a lot of resistance to that, because again, the 9s are great, dragon energy, trusting in following your path. But if you have it in a karmic phase, it can be a lot of disempowerment to following your path. And so this would be about him learning to trust in the decisions that he was making, not procrastinating. This number is really tied to procrastination, getting on with it, getting on with your path, and not finding excuses or manifesting things to get into the way. And so they'll start off with some unworthiness, especially when it's in a spiritual karmic aspect about who am I to teach about spirit, about God? Who am I to do that? It's a kind of an unworthiness thing, because we all are part of God. God is inside of us. God is not outside of us. God is not above us with this kind of religious connotation about punishment and all of this judgment if we don't behave in these certain ways. We are all spirit having a human experience, and we are all connected. It is not about it. God is love, and compassion and empathy. And we're working towards developing those beautiful, wonderful traits here. Now, he has these great, wonderful spiritual talents. I have these and also in my chart, which I had mentioned earlier. And so what this is this is about bringing down that spiritual knowledge in a way that people can digest it. And it's creating this great spiritual manifestation in the physical plane, creating space for others so that they can learn about their purpose and so they can learn from you and they can achieve their goals. So obviously he was this great, he has this pioneer energies, great pioneer writer. He wrote so many wonderful books. I'll put the names of the books and stuff down below too, so that you can look them up. He has got other great ones, whatever one you were drawn to is the one you need the most. So make sure you're following your own intuition on that. And so he has these wonderful, great talents here about that space, bringing that space down for others to be able to heal and to become expanding their own consciousness. So he was here to help us do that. And of course, in his goals, he has another great spiritual number. And this is all about this. These are service souls. When you have a 10-1, it's all about service to other. The more you serve, the more you will be served. So when you see this, it's also about balancing that masculine and feminine energy. It's very flowing. This 10 is very flowing energy, and this 1 is about the masculine, and it's about balancing those two. And so when he got this number at a young age, his father, as I said, had abandoned him. And so you get in your physical goals, you also get some of the negative aspects of this. And so what we saw playing out for him is his father abandoning them at a young age, his mother having to give them to an orphanage to raise them boys for some time because she just couldn't afford to. She couldn't find the means. She couldn't find it within herself because she was also so disempowered from the masculine. And that's what this is that it becomes a very disempowerment from the masculine side, which was the father. And it leaves this hole in your heart. And that's all of what this 7s is also about. It's healing the heart. It left that opening, this hole in his heart. So he would really have a hard time initially understanding that masculine side and coming in to your masculine, the divine masculine side, not the toxic masculinity that we see so prevalent in the cultures in our world today, but the real divine masculine, this will and the courage and the protection of people too. It's a very protective energy, courageous and protective. And so he would struggle finding it. So it's all about him trying to bring into balance those energies that he was disempowered. And that was set up on purpose. This chart is set up to have that experience so that he could grow and learn that here. And so what happened with him, so he would find a lot of filling that hole or finding positive role models is really good with the 10-1 in your life, finding those, and he had a lot of gurus that he really looked up to that were his masters, and he always called them out in his books. So you can read about those in any of the books that he channeled, which were his masters, and that would help him to heal his heart and give him his own sense of balance. And so he had this great healing. He didn't know who his father was, and then he did reach out to try to find him. And I'm a little vague. It's been a long time since I remember the story, so let me try to explain through his energy what happened. So he ended up going to his father's grave. He did not know his father. Was very angry, holding on to a lot of resentment and anger over his father, leaving them in that situation. And he basically went to his grave to basically stamp on it. As I'm trying to find out and just listen to him in the minute. I'm getting goosebumps there. So I'm getting the okay that that's the right word to use. He was going there. He was very angry, but for some reason he was drawn to going to his grave and stomp on his grave because there was something about him dying that he never got the chance to really tell him how he felt. So he went to his grave in order to do that. And he ended up having this very spiritual experience in connecting with his father at his grave And he's telling me that for some reason his heart opened and he ended up forgiving his father, going to his grave and forgiving him for that disempowerment. I'm getting very emotional because I had some of that from my own father. And so that's triggering an emotional response in me, as we have all had, our fathers in our society, in many cultures, they shut down their emotions. So it's hard for them to give love, or they can be very abusive or very absent in people's lives. And it's because of their own trauma. So he ended up healing a lot of that anger and resentment in that moment. And it can be that cathartic to have an experience like that. And so what happens is that he had this separation going on from that experience with his father, separation from source, making an imbalance between the masculine and feminine within. And so by having that experience, it brought together a balance within him. And it was right after that experience that he ended up writing the book, the Your Erroneous Zones. That was his #1 bestseller. And he wrote it like within a few days. It was not a very long. So again, this procrastination thing didn't hinder him at all. He went and he was this open channel. He had done some healing. He connected with source and he wrote that book. And that was his bestseller because of this healing episode that occurred with him. And so, hang on, I'm just reading my notes. I don't want to miss anything on this. When I tend to connect with their energy, I get a little distracted. And so, yes, it was the weekend after he, and so this started to allow him to really start to fulfill that soul purpose and destiny that he came here to do, was that healing episode of being able to forgive his father. So, so then he wants me to to tell you to remember that on this motivation side, that you are always working towards something much larger than you, bigger than you are. Everything you're working towards, it's not. We all, they get caught up in this 3D world, and it's all about me, right? This throwaway society, and this like more consumerism. I need to buy more and more. I mean, it's just trying to fill this void of other things that we really need to be working on. So he just wants you to remember that you are always working towards a bigger picture, always. So ease up a little bit about yourself, again, going deeper, taking, looking for the silver lining in these things that are going on. And so he had this wonderful breakthrough again. And so, he's got these, so he has this breakthrough, he's got these great, spiritual energies, uniting groups. He was all about teaching in groups and uniting and opening that heart to bring more people in, to catalyze them to raise their own levels of consciousness. And so this would play out obviously with his soul destiny, which is the 14-5. And again, that's another 5. Those, they become the teachers of the teachers. And he was not just teaching people on lower levels of consciousness, but he was teaching a lot of people who had already raised their consciousness and they wanted to go higher. 14-5s can keep raising that bar as well in themselves. And they do it though through having intense relationships. And he did have quite a few. I think he was married 3 times, and it's called reflected being. So you learn a lot about yourself through others. So it's through others with their relationships. And so he was to become this great spiritual pioneer, to write spiritual books and to do all that. That was all in his numbers. And this reflected being was about him to have a lot of these intimate, intense relationships so that he could go even deeper about learning about himself. I think even his 3rd marriage got divorced. And then they ended up coming back together and remarrying before he passed away. And so, and again, he did end up dying of a heart attack. He had leukemia too for a few years. And so, like I said, nobody, even when you're raising your level of consciousness and things like that, we all still have things that are being drawn to us to overcome, and it's all about overcoming them and going to that next highest level of consciousness. I'm being told that the heart attack, that was a quick way for him to transition to the other side. He did his work here. This is all tied to the heart with the sevens, the heart healing. And no, he accomplished so many things, had such great achievement. And so it was really his time now to cross over on the other side and hand the baton off to someone else. But again, I wanted to mention that the 14 fives that reflected being is about the sentence, I am, therefore I relate. And so that's how they, again, learn by other people reflecting back to them what they don't know about themselves. And so then it gives you to the higher level of consciousness. And this would also add to his new level of writings and give him this new basis. And I know through his children, he was working on that as well, some intense relationships with his children and learning, because he had quite a few children. I don't know how many, but he had quite a few. And so he would learn about that. And then he could share that with others and help them to learn about themselves through his own experiences. So he's a great, great man. He did many, many wonderful things. And so the last thing that I had here for what the creative writing was saying is that motivation is all about your perspective. Everyone can reach for a great amount of energy from the universe. You just have to ask. Stay true to what you want, what your soul is calling you to do. Watch out for the naysayers. We talked about this in a lot of my other videos. When you're in the manifestation mode, a lot of times it's just better to keep things to yourself when you're trying to work on your real goals, things that bring you joy, because people talk you out of it. It's part of people trying to keep you at their level. It's very unintentional, but we tend to vibrate out of people's lives if they're not growing at the same level as we are. I always say, to quote Aaron Doty, he's a great expand your consciousness guru on YouTube, and he says I believe it was him that had said it's not personal, it's vibrational. And so as we raise our consciousness, we are also raising our vibration, and we may not match somebody who's at a lower level. And it's really hard for people, if you feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster with your family or whatever, it's because you'll be coming in and out of these higher and lower vibrations, and it can be very disorientating and it can be discombobulating. So you have to be aware of it and become more conscious of how you feel around certain people, and if you're leaving them and if you feel drained, that you need to think about that and how those relationships are playing out in your life. Now, I know if it's a parent or a son or a daughter, you can't just walk away from them, but you can become more conscious and protect your energy. There's, and still doesn't mean, if like, Wayne, it doesn't mean that's better or worse if people are on different levels, because everybody all over the planet is on different levels. It's about you managing your own energies. And also watching your expectations too, because having expectations to all these outcomes sets you up for a lot of disappointment. The universe has your back, and you have to trust in that flow. And a rejection is just the universe telling you that wasn't right for you and there's a different path. So we all want to work on those things. And I know it can be very difficult. It's easier said than done. Meditation and those techniques can help you to bring yourself back to your core. Walking in nature, we talk about that a lot. There are little things that you can do to help you manifest your dreams and desires. As he says, manifest your destiny. I highly recommend the book. He's got 9, this is a very short book. He has 9 wonderful principles. I'm going to read you one about the second principle that he wanted me to share with you. And this is the second principle of manifesting, which leads us to a higher place within ourselves, as I was just talking about. It gives us a confidence to trust in something other than which we perceive with our senses. It illuminates within us the knowing that there is far more to this journey than what we observe. And we come to trust to this knowing to a point where peace serves as a serene substitute for doubt and anxiety. When you trust, you know. and a knowing cannot be silenced by the contrary opinions of anyone you encounter. You will be independent of the good opinion of others when this trust becomes your way of life. You will not need to prove yourself to anyone or to convince anyone of the rightness of your views. You will be a silent sage, moving through this material plane with a knowing that you have tapped into a source of inspiration that provides you with all the sustenance you need. Indeed, you will begin to see how this earth plane is really a very big part of you, more so than you might ever have imagined. And this is the subject matter for the third principle of manifesting. The third principle, which is you are not an organism in an environment, you are environ organism. But this is, anyways, it was an absolute great book to read, Manifest Your Destiny. He has a great website too. I'll put a link to that below, where he's still leaving messages for people, and you can get access to videos and things that he's done. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and we're going to go back to the oracle part of the channeling, where we're going to really get into, so he's driving me right away to the sacred destiny. So this is where he has direct messages to the viewers and the people who will be watching. And so the first one that comes out is purity. This is beautiful, a beautiful card. And so let's go to, this is Sacred Destiny by Denise Linn. I always put the cards in the description box below that we pulled and where they come from and who wrote them, so we give credit to where credit is due. Purity, first snow, 72. Again, 7 and 2 add up to 9. 9, which was his talents, and a great number for that trust we just talked about, developing that great trust in ourselves. So 72. Here we go. So what he wants you to know is the sacred landscape wants you to know, no matter what has happened in the past, everything can be fresh and new again. The purity of your soul is shining through everything that you encounter. You are entering into a period of grace. Simply open your heart and know that the best is yet to be. The past does not equal the future. Your future can and will be shimmering, sparkling, and bright. Old limiting patterns are dropping away. Recurring challenges are releasing. This is a time of redemption, forgiveness, and holy healing. Thank you. Sending down this healing energy. So let's just let that sink in for a moment. And please repeat after me. I let the old patterns of yesterday melt away. I let the old patterns of yesterday melt away. I let the old patterns of yesterday melt away. Okay, I feel a little shift there. So we're going next to the Work Your Light Oracle. You know, he was a magical light worker. One of our great ones. One of the great many that are on the planet now. All of you guys too doing your work, anchoring your light right now. The Great Gathering. It's all coming together. Intuitive hits, Soul Tribe. What a beautiful card. So what this is telling me is that know that it's coming. You're on the right path. Follow that intuitive hits that you're getting. And your soul tribe is going to be coming into focus. This is going to be happening for you. That's great news for the viewers that are watching that are feeling maybe a little bit like things aren't happening fast enough. You're starting to have those doubts and anxiety appear, and just go for a walk. Just keep doing your work. Don't pay attention to it if it's again, that expectations, let go of those expectations because things will unfold as they're supposed to happen. So please keep allowing those things to unfold and keep following those intuitions. There will be a great gathering is coming. So the next one we're going to get or pick from is the Kyle Great Angel Deck Oracle. So Wade, what do you got going on here? Mercury. Mercury is open communication. So this is about getting a weight off of your chest, speak up with love and be heard. So there's something I'm getting, he's telling me for some of the viewers here, it won't be for everybody. Communication is so important, right? How you are communicating. So he's saying for some of you, you've been carrying a weight around a long time, lots of maybe old past grudges or things that happened and you're still harboring some of those, that anger and resentment. And just like he had gone to the grave of his father and he was able to express himself, even though he had crossed over to the other side, he made a connection with him. And you can still do that. If members have, if these people have crossed over to the other side, you can still call on their energy. You can write them a letter. You can have a conversation with them. And then you can let it go and free yourself. And if it's a loved one here that you need to express yourself, remember to do it with love. And then again, release and let go. Even if you have to write a letter to them, find a way to open up those channels of communication. And the Archangel Mercury, call in that archangel, and that particular angel will help guide you in how to communicate with whoever it is that you need communication with. It will help you, whether it's a boss, like I said, a family member, somebody who's crossed over to the other side. You may want to, like I said, write it down first, get your thoughts in order before you have the conversation, because it's about releasing. It's not about adding any more to it. This is about getting this out so that you can release it, so that you can open things up for the good, releasing all that old, because that's what allows these new experiences to come in. So we're going to go to the wisdom of the oracle next. Oh, we got all kinds of cards flying out. These are too many. Put them back in. And whatever's meant, these want to come out big time. Hang on. Okay, Wade. Just a card or two, please. Just a card or two. I know these are great wisdom oracles. And we'll see what ones we get here. He's saying two, so I'll pull two of these. Okay, here we go. I'm going to pull the first two. Okay, I got three. I thought you said two. Dog is having fun with me. Now he has those clown energies. So remember, he liked to make people laugh as well, about not taking things too seriously. So again, he's got quite a variety of cards here going. So again, it was about that chaos and conflict. So we've got some chaos and conflict going on with some viewers here that we need to address. It's number 33. 33 is the master teacher number. That one, and what this chaos and conflict is meaning for you is it's teaching you something. And so it's for you to go deeper into this chaos and conflict and try to figure out what it's trying to teach you so that you can come up with a resolution. And we all have that in our lives. So, and again, then the threes add up to a six, and six brings balance, love, and harmony. But it's talking about you need to address some chaos and conflict in your life. So then we have next the higher power number 4. So again, it's using that intuition, that higher power to bring you the resolutions to those conflicts or to any chaos going on in your life. You can see it's coming right through her crown chakra there. And there's an explosion waiting to happen through the third eye. So It tells me that you guys are blocking some of these downloads that are coming through because this is this person. You can see there's two faces here. Sorry, my light is really glaring up at this card. But there's two faces in this picture. This is kind of like the higher self. So the higher self knows it's getting the downloads, but are the downloads through the angels and everybody getting down to that higher power? Are you allowing that power to come down? Number 4. Okay, Wayne, I'm going to get there. Hang on just a second. Yes, I do remember how to count. Okay, so he's telling me to relay the relationship message to the higher power. So we've got some viewers that need to hear this. It's time to address how much effort you give to your relationship with your higher power, called God, your higher power, goddess, spirit, whatever that means, whatever sacred or holy to you. Recognize that your partnership with spirit is your number one priority. The appearance of this card also indicates that there's a deep spiritual bond between you and another person who is essential to your growth and evolution. Tend to your spiritual connection and remain aware of your true nature. Oh, that's wonderful. So watch for that spiritual mentor to come in, or if there's somebody you've been thinking about connecting with that is of a spiritual nature or class you want to take. This is saying to go ahead and connect with that spiritual bonding person that's coming through. And so then the last number we've got is, again, this is what it's talking about. Okay, so this makes sense. So this is another 4, which is co-create. So again, here is we've got this jaguar up here sitting on this. Cats to me represent independence. And then we have this owl, and that represents the gurus, the wisdom, right? The higher knowledge. And so it looks to me like they're sitting there and he is listening to the owl, or he is thinking, I don't know if he's thinking about eating the owl. But then there's this little egg down here too, right? So there's something being like an egg, which is something very fertile. It's kind of like a seed, right? It's growing something. And so you're to get, again, we're talking about the downloads coming in. And this is all about the co-creating with others and with learning from others. And that's about, we talked about maybe hooking up with somebody, a mentor or a teacher, and learning from them. And then that can make more sense out of this conflict in your life and help you to deal with that, help you to get grounded and centered in yourself. So he's sending a lot of great, wonderful messages for you. So again, one of the last, there's a couple, I always do the, that one came out right away. The Archangel Metatron Self-Mastery. I work with the energies of Archangel Metatron. I use a lot of sacred geometry, as you can see, my Metatron's cube back there, which is also resembles the soul contract diagram, because it's those placements around Metatron's cube, the soul destiny in the center, and then all of that is emanating out to our reality, which brings in all of these experiences that we want to manifest in our lives so that we can learn and grow from them. So I always read out of the Self-Mastery book. This is by Amanda Ellis, a wonderful teacher in her own right, and she's also a color therapist, and she does these wonderful, great sprays that I also use when I need to clear energy and bring in a connection to source. And so we have number 43, which is perfect. And look at all the colors. This is healing, pausing to receive. So again, we can get caught up in our minds where we want the answers, and we want the answers, and we never allow the answers to come through. And that's where these meditative practices walking in nature, but not getting caught up in our heads and playing these scenarios over and over. Being present, grounding, being present and aware of what's going on and what's happening around you. And of course, 43 adds up to 7, which was opening the heart in Wayne's chart and bringing people to you through the heart. So let's read 43 for you guys. Stop for a moment and allow yourself to look at what needs healing in your life today. You are asked to be still and open up to the healing power of Archangel Metatron's color rays. His energy is available to you at all times whenever you ask for it, whether day or night. Visualize yourself being cradled by angelic light that knows exactly where it needs to flow and what it needs to do. This is an intelligent, loving energy that works with your own body and auric field to give you what you need right now. Feel his loving energy flowing in from your crown chakra. We've got several cards that we're showing through the crown chakra. Higher vibrations of light that soothe, bring comfort, and can transform whatever ails you. Feel it moving down through your spine and your skeletal system, through each chakra point, and to any part of you that needs healing. Let the healing also help you to switch off, to rest your mind, and to be taken to another dimensional space where time is suspended and only you matter. Sitting comfortably or lying down, maybe when in meditation, ask Archangel Metatron to place his hands on you, allowing streams of color to flow through you. Color is alive and is a powerful energy. Which color ray do you feel you need? Tune into the color ray that you feel you want around you and flowing through you. I do also put a link to, I have a free clearing and healing meditation, and you can do this. You can listen back and do this. I'll maybe put this also in the description box. So if you're listening to it, you can do some of this as well to kind of, it sounds like, you know, some people need to have some of this healing. So we'll try to lay that out for you guys, how to move forward. So this chosen color, so once you pick the color, may change as Metatron brings down the rainbow spectrum for you, recharging, renewing, revitalizing your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual body. We're in a renewal phase, a healing phase right now. Realize that you can ask not just for the healing when something is wrong. Doesn't have to be because you're going through all this chaos. It can be as part of your evolution to consciousness. But you can seek color to maintain well-being and prevent discord and illness. Take time to question what you presently do to achieve well-being. Are you eating well? Do you cleanse your aura? Do you release negativity and fear or store it up? Being healed involves many different facets, from changing thought processes or exercises to altering negative habits and circumstances that cause imbalance. Just as Metatron uses many colors to heal, you may need to look at different healing methods and tools to create optimum health. Positive affirmations. We're going to get to the affirmation next. I'll pull that next. Color therapy, mindfulness, meditation, and rest and relaxation. You also need a genuine desire to change and heal. Allow Metatron to help you find what helps you maintain your own well-being and commit to looking after yourself as you would anything else you deem important in your life. Sometimes we take care of everyone else around us and we don't take care of ourselves. Put your well-being first, but not last, on the list of priorities. Pause and be open to receiving Metatron's energy and color rays. Healing is here for you now. Thank you, Wayne, and Metatron for that wonderful healing messages. We're so grateful to have you here with us, providing the healing energy for us during this video. And so the last thing that we do is we're going to pull the healing mantra card for you guys, and say this, write it down, put it on your mirror, say it quite often over the next few days. Please, let's pick the card that everybody can benefit from the most. I can feel they want to come out. Okay. this one popped out. Okay. This is all about, and this is the Matt Kahn Healing Mantra deck, one of my favorite affirmation decks. And this is about inviting ecstasy in your life. So the mantra is, I am worthy of all the pleasures my heart desires. I am worthy of all the pleasure my heart desires. I am worthy of all the pleasure my heart desires. I am worthy of all the pleasure my heart desires. So he wanted to end on a very positive note because he was a very, very, very positive person. And I talked about he wanted me to mention again too about that orphanage. He was one of the, I don't know if I continued that story, I apologize, but I want to say it again if I didn't. When he was in the orphanage, he liked being in the orphanage. He thought it was great. They didn't have parents like looking over their shoulder. He had a lot of freedom. And so when the kids would come to the orphanage and they would be very upset about having to be there, they would always have that new child talk to Wayne, because Wayne would tell them about how great it was going to be. Yeah, we get to go play and we can go over here, we can do this and no one's watching us. And I can relate to that in my own childhood, because we didn't have a lot of care from our parents. So we had a lot of freedom, and we were, that can have its own connotation, or negative connotation, but I looked at it as a very good thing, because I had a lot of freedom as a child growing up. We always said I was this close to being raised wild and kind of fended for ourselves, but we learned a lot of self-reliance and trust in ourselves, that experience, as he did, but he always saw the positive side of that. So he wants to talk about that. Positivity brings great, as positive as you are, it'll bring that back. So say that mantra frequently, hang that up on your mirror so that you can express that. And is there anything else that, he's pointing me to something that did I miss something here? Hang on, I'm just looking. No, I think he's just wanting to say, that he thanks you and that he loves you very much, that you're all doing great. You're all right where you're supposed to be. Don't get too caught up in this. You need to be somewhere else. Everything is perfect just as it is right now. So he wanted to express that last message to you. Thank you for catching me and stopping me from moving on. So with that, thank you so much. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. And like I said, I will put all my information down in the description box below, and watch out for more videos coming. There's a lot of people that want to bring their messages through. So it's been a lot of fun and I enjoyed it immensely, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.